Hello, Facebook. We are up and live. Hey, Jamie. So glad you could join us live today from Florida. Let's go live on Instagram, and I think we'll be all set. All right, we're live on all the places. Hello, everyone. So glad you could join me today. We're going to be talking all about the top 5 supplements everyone should be taking. But first, a little bit about me if you're new around here. My name is Carrie. I'm a wife, mom, a Christian. I am a pharmacist, a nutritional wellness advocate, and I'm also an integrative health practitioner. And so all of those things combined really make me passionate about how we can support our body and really rebalancing it so that we can be way more resilient all the time, but definitely right now. That is something that I've thought a lot about, and just how resilient we are with whatever comes our way. That can really go with any part of your life. But today we're specifically going to be talking about supplements and how supplements can really help us and can be more of a long-term thing that we're on, and they can also be a short-term thing that we're on. Mostly today we're going to be talking about long-term, but I just want to kind of set up why we need supplements in the first place really quickly, and then we're going to dive into the top 5. So if you're joining me on any of the platforms that I'm on, please say hello in the comments and let me know that you're here, maybe where you're calling in from. If you have any questions as I go, please don't hesitate to put them down below. If you're watching the replay, also type replay and let me know you're here. Okay, so supplements in general. Supplements, I want you to think about them as something that they don't necessarily replace, they more so complete. They complete what we're lacking in. They supplement what we're already doing to be healthy and to get the things and give the things to our body that it needs. And so the ones that I'm going to talk about today especially are a foundation. And foundational supplements and also foundational ways of taking care of ourselves are just that. Like if we skip these really important foundational pieces, then we're going to build a house without laying a foundation, and nobody does that, right? We want to have a firm foundation so that we are more resilient, and so that, you know, if we want to add some of those things on that are great, right, that are I just think about adding in there's so many supplements, right, that you think about, different drinks or different powders or whatever it might be, but those, I'm not saying those are bad, but we really need a foundation when we think about our health, especially just for balance, for stability, for resilience, all of those things. So really quick, why do we need supplements? So when I talk about supplements, I'm more so talking about micronutrients versus macronutrients. And macronutrients are things that we get from our food, fat and protein and carbohydrates, things like that. Micronutrients are vitamins and minerals, and that is a very important piece of the puzzle that we often more so overlook. We're so concentrated on the macronutrients that we get, and not suggesting that you count macros at all. Just saying that really is what a supplement can come in and do. It can really fill in those gaps and where we're lacking. So why can't we just eat all the things? Why can't we just eat perfectly and we don't need supplements? Well, maybe 100 years ago, maybe 50 years ago, you could have argued that. But now, in the last 50 or 60 years, ever since 1950, studies have shown that soil is not what it used to be. Our soil is majorly depleted in things that we would normally get from our food if it was grown in nutrient-rich soil, but we're not getting that now. And so that's a really big part of why we're missing a lot of the things that we're missing, is because our soil just isn't what it used to. You can't really contest that, right? It's not what it used to be. And that's really foundational, as far as not even talking about what you spray on the things that you're eating, as far as chemicals and things like that even further degrade it. And so reasons for this, it's cheap fertilizers, it's our weakened digestion as well. There is a lot of different trends that we follow that we're really depleting ourselves of nutrition. And so that's really again, where supplementation can come in. But honestly, the fix really isn't that hard. It's just that most of us are not going to do it. Adding 2 to 3 cups of fruits and vegetables every day to all 3 meals and eating that perfectly, every single day. Does anybody do that? I try, right? We can try to do those things. We can reach for that, but are we really getting that in our diet? So let's talk really quickly about short-term versus long-term. And as I'm moving through this, hello, there's probably people in and out of being on live and being on the replay with us. Make sure that you post below if you have a comment or a question about anything that I'm talking about. So short-term versus long-term. I think a lot of times when we think about supplements, we think about long-term. We think everything should be long-term. If I start a supplement, then I'm just going to have to continue to take it forever. And that's just not the case. The ones that I'm going to talk about today really are meant to be taken long-term, and I would recommend to be taken long-term. But there are short-term reasons why we would want to supplement until we can get our body back to a place of balance, so where it can maintain and where we can maintain with a healthy diet and with movement and with stress reduction and all of those things. So short-term reasons why we would want to supplement would be something like removing a toxicity, so like heavy metals, or doing some type of intestinal cleanse, an allergy, mold, different things like that. Giving yourself higher doses of something to really boost your immune system. I know we've all been a little bit more on top of that recently, probably, and so that's definitely a reason why you would want to use something short term, maybe higher doses short term. There's obviously like a detox. That would be short-term use of some type of supplement to detoxify your body for, 7 to 21 days, whatever you might would choose. Or, it could be you found something on a lab test and you want to really restore that deficiency, and it's going to take, a certain amount of time, 2 or 3 months or whatever it might be. But long-term, that is really what I want to focus on today. These would be like vitamin and mineral requirements that we're just not getting from our food. There's like a lack of omegas in our diet. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So there's lots of different things. Stress is a big, big reason why we need to support our body with supplementation, because stress that's a whole nother topic, right? But stress if you're bringing in even the highest quality food, you're not going to get what you need out of it. And therefore your body's not going to get what it needs to really perform like we want it to. And so then we start to feel symptoms. So there's stress, there's lifestyle, there is just ongoing genetic factors. So a lot of different reasons why we want to supplement longer term. So I would just ask yourself, as we're going through these things and you're like, well, I'm doing pretty good, do I really need this? Just think about what your diet's like 6 out of the 7 days. Are you eating just all the fruits and vegetables, and are they local, or are they organic? Or are you sure about that? Are you getting all the things that you need as far as even omegas, like eating certain types of fish 3 or 4 or 5 times a week? All these things really have to be in consideration. And for the most part, I'm not doing that. Most people are not, and so therefore supplementation is needed. And so you also have to ask yourself, you might be thinking, well, supplements are expensive, and that's why I really haven't invested in them. Especially if you've been learning, if you've been following along with me, we've been learning about quality supplements. And so I don't want you to waste your money on an inferior supplement. And so, you might be like, well, I just can't afford the more expensive. But think about this, is it worth $3 to $5 a day? The energy that you would get, knowing all of your requirements are met, mental clarity, great mood, your whole body is just going to be nourished. Like, is it worth that extra amount of money today? $3 to $5 a day doesn't seem like that much, but I would say you could probably cover most of what you needed with that. And so just think about these things as you go along. So the top 5 foundational supplements that I'm going to talk about, let's dive into those. And then it's hard for me to stop at 5. So I'm just going to go over 5 more that would be highly considerable to be something that I would want you to think about even. And I'm going to go through some of those, but we're going to spend the most time on this top 5. And I'm going to try to keep this class to about 25 or 30 minutes. So if you're joining live or watching the replay, you'll know that we have about 20 minutes left or so. So just wanted to always like to kind of lay that out for you. But let's dive right in. So the first, and to me, the most foundational supplement is a multivitamin. Like, if you're taking all these extra little things that you've heard about are really great, like the powders or the collagen or whatever it might be, those things aren't bad. But if you're not on a quality multivitamin, like, you need to kind of stop all the other stuff and get on one, because if your body doesn't have the vitamins and the nutrients that it needs, and a lot of times multivitamins have like powdered fruits and vegetables as well that are going to help fill in that gap from us not eating as much as we should in our diet, like, your body's not going to perform like you want it to. You're going to see symptoms from that. You're going to to really start to notice that you maybe age faster, or you're having these chronic symptoms, or even some diseases can creep in over time. And so no one eats perfectly. And even if you eat very well, like I mentioned, the soil quality is just not there. And even if it was there, we are so stressed. Like, as a whole, we're just stressed a lot. It's not like it doesn't have a beginning or end. And when you have long-term chronic stress, your body is just constantly depleted, because it's like you're running your battery to the max, and it's going to take from other parts of your body. And so it's going to leave some that are deficient, and that's going to really make different parts and different working parts of your body suffer, in other words, for a really short definition of what really happens when we're under stress. And so for all of those reasons, a quality multivitamin is absolutely needed. And I'm not going to go too much into brands, different things like that. I'm going to actually put a lot of the posts that I've been making into kind of one blog post. And so if you're watching, you're like, I want links, I want to know where to purchase some of these things, I'm going to put all this in a blog. And so you'll have the links, you'll have this video, it'll all be in one place. So I'm working on that, and it's probably going to be maybe tomorrow, maybe early next week, but that's definitely coming. So I'm not going to talk a lot about brands, but you want to make sure that the multivitamin that you're using is quality and that it's absorbable, because if it's not, then you are completely 100% wasting your money, and I don't want you to do that. So that's all I'll say about multivitamins. Definitely key. Number one, these are in order. Number two, so number one is multivitamin. Number two is an omega supplement. And, if you would have asked me, I don't know, 10 years ago, what I thought was a really foundational supplement, most people are like, yeah, I get it, a multivitamin, like, I understand, or at least I've heard, right? You need a multivitamin. But I really didn't know that much about omegas. And I've learned a lot in probably the past, 7 or 8 years. But even more so when I went through this integrative health practitioner course, 95% of all people are deficient in omegas. And you might think, well, I'm just going to eat fish, salmon. I've heard all these different things that I can get omegas from. But if you're not eating them consistently and pretty frequently, you're not getting what you need. And most people don't, honestly. I certainly don't. I've seen a huge difference when I started adding in a quality omega supplement to my daily supplement routine. And so I would highly recommend that you consider that. If you suffer from high cholesterol, high triglycerides, dry skin, even some headaches can be caused from that, mental fatigue, mood disorders. Like, there's so many different things that can be linked back to you're just not getting enough quality fats in your diet. And honestly, weight gain can be associated with that. You might think, well, omegas are fats, and I want to lose weight, but you're saying it's linked to weight gain. That's because your body processes, literally, they just can't function properly if you don't have the right amount of omegas. And especially for women, it's really key, because our hormones are built off fat. And if we don't have enough healthy fats, our hormones are just going to be out of balance. There's just no way around that. And so that's really important when you think about women's health in general. Specifically, excuse me. But I wanted to just touch on something really quickly. When you're looking at omega supplements, a lot of times, we're just grabbing whatever fish oil we can find, and we're thinking like that's going to be good. And a lot of times when your doctor might be recommending fish oil, that is an omega type of omega, but it doesn't have the types of ratios of fats that it needs. It is not complex enough and not quality enough most of the time. And so this would really replace that and be even better. And so really quickly, there's something called EPA and DPA. And there are different types of fats and different types of omega specifically. And most omega supplements are going to be higher in DPA, but we need that extra amount of EPA, that specific type of fat. So you can actually look on your omega bottle if you take omegas and see. It'll share with you what milligram is EPA and what milligram is DPA. And we need that, because if you have improper ratios of these, you're going to miss out on a lot of the different anti-inflammatory benefits, estrogen balancing, mood balancing benefits. And so that's really key, without going into a lot of detail about that. That's just an easy thing that you can do to turn over your bottle and see, Does it even have EPA and DPA on there? And if it does, what's the ratio? You want more EPA than DPA. And one more thing about omegas is that we can get omegas from our diet, but most of the time we're getting omega-6 from our diet because it is prevalent in the standard American diet, fried foods, processed foods, different things like that. It's readily available. So we have an excess of omega-6 that can cause inflammation in our body, and we don't have enough omega-3s to really balance that out and get some of the good benefits of omega-3s. And so even if, where's that statistic? I'm looking for it here. If you were to just get 2%, only 2% higher on the healthy omegas, which are the omega-3s, you can decrease your cardiovascular death risk by 90%. So it's something that, we're talking about we want to feel our best here, but hey, we're maybe you're tweaking, maybe you're already pretty healthy, you're making sure you have what you need, but this could be just life-changing for someone that has an increased risk for cardiovascular issues, which, it's just something we all should think about, even if we live a healthy lifestyle. And so that's a dramatic decrease just by taking this one supplement. So, you really want to try to make the ratio a lot more proportional when it comes to omega-6 and omega-3. And so that's what this supplement is going to do. So that is omegas. I'm very passionate about that one specifically because it's way overlooked for most of people. So if you're not on an omega supplement, I would highly encourage you to hop on one of those. And again, I'm going to have some recommendations in the blog post that I put together. Okay, so that's 1 multivitamin, 2 omega, 3 is digestive enzymes. So the next 2 that I'm going to talk about are really key for gut health. And gut health is everything health. I'm not going to get into all that, but digestive enzymes as a whole, they help you to be able to break down your food so that your body can absorb it better. And when we are under stress, again, our body does not absorb it just can't process and absorb like it should. This is going to help that. And so when stress is trying to steal away all the goodness of your food and digestion, this will help it not steal as much. It is still going to steal some, but not as much. So digestive enzymes are something that are found in food, but only if it's raw. And so I'm not suggesting that you eat a completely raw diet because there's benefits to cooked food as well, right? But you're not getting digestive enzymes if you're not eating raw food with each meal and a lot of raw food. And so we all need extra digestive enzymes, honestly. That's why it's on this foundational list. And we want to get the most out of our food, and this is one of the ways that we can do that. And so digestive enzymes are number 3. Number 4 is a probiotic. Probably not a huge shock to you. Again, this is gut health. Gut health is everything health, and so much can be thrown off if our gut health is thrown off. And so you need more good bacteria in your gut, period. We have, a lot of us have bacterial overgrowth, some have yeast, some have all kind of different things going on in our gut. This can really be a first thing we can do to really try to get that back on the right path. Now, it can be a long path. I will say that this is not like just put a Band-Aid over things. I don't want you to think about it like that, or that you take a probiotic and you're completely good with gut health, because that's really not the case. I mean, some of us have more issues than others, but gut health is something that is very important, and a probiotic is a step in the right direction along with that, the digestive enzymes. But having a good probiotic that has some great strains in it that can really help to repopulate your gut with good bacteria is key. And so I wanted to put it in the top 5. Okay, so lastly, I really debated what should be number 5 in this list, but I'm going to put magnesium in number 5 when it comes to the top 5 supplements that everyone should be on, because almost everyone is deficient in magnesium, and it's really a crucial mineral for overall health. It increases energy, it helps support cardiovascular health, it improves sleep, it strengthens bones. There's so many different things in our body and reasons why we're depleted for magnesium, and stress is one of the biggest reasons why we're depleted in magnesium. And so just a few symptoms that might indicate you're deficient in magnesium: anxiety, depression, menstrual problems, headaches, weight gain, leg cramps. Obviously, that's one that we hear about a lot. Osteoporosis, it can lead to brittle bones. if you're deficient, hypertension, heart disease, pregnancy complications, even insulin resistance, constipation. There's a lot of different signs that your body is deficient in magnesium. So I get this question a lot, and so I wanted to take a little bit of extra time to go through the different forms of magnesium because it's kind of confusing. I had several questions about like, I don't know what kind of magnesium I should take. And so I'm just going to go through them really quickly. So first is citrate, magnesium citrate. This is probably the one, if you're familiar with magnesium, that you've seen or heard about. It's called citrate because it's found with citric acid, but it's one of the most well-absorbed and most commonly used forms of magnesium. It's best known as a powerful laxative. So if you've ever had a colonoscopy, you might have used mag citrate to get things moving. I'm not suggesting that you should supplement with that. Hold tight. But it pulls water into the bowels and helps flush out waste. So that's citrate. Glycinate, it is known to ease anxiety. It can help enhance sleep, improves memory, it boosts IQ. It can also help with like PMS and cramps, lots of different things and lots of different overall health reasons why we might want to consider this form of magnesium specifically. And then there's L-threonate, magnesium L-threonate. Again, it's not going to be in the blog post, so don't feel like I don't remember heard of these things. We're always going to learn something new, right? So it's good to know these things so that when you do go out and look at magnesium supplements, you might know which one to pick. So this is actually a newer form of magnesium, and it's formulated to cross the blood-brain barrier. And so a lot of people choose this one because it's really good for brain health and like the age-related memory loss, cognitive decline, these types of things. This specific type of magnesium is really good for that. Magnesium chloride, this I would really avoid. Most people use topically because it's not well absorbed, but sometimes it can come in capsules or tablets, but I would not suggest that. Magnesium sulfate is going to be used, that's Epsom salt, that's used in baths. Magnesium malate, this is recommended for people who suffer with like fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome because it helps your body produce more energy. And then there's oxide, magnesium oxide. This is only used for like short term, and I would not really recommend this because it's not good for raising magnesium levels as a whole, and it's not well absorbed. So those are the different types. I know there was a couple of them, right? But a lot of times you'll see a mixture of these, and I honestly feel like that could be really beneficial because you're going to get the benefits of each of the different ones, and I think that combining them has a lot of different benefits. So I'm going to put some recommendations as far as brands and my favorites and things for all of the top 5. But we have 5 minutes left, and we're going to be right at 30 minutes. So I just wanted to mention a couple more that you should consider and that I really struggled with. Should I include these in the top 5? So vitamin D. Most people are deficient in vitamin D, especially if you live in a place that it's cold most of the year and you're not outside, because that's how you get natural vitamin D is outside in the sun. And so definitely want to supplement with that in the winter months specifically. And most people need between 4,000 and 5,000 IUs, international units. And so I'll include that as well on my blog post. Okay, so vitamin C is another one. I know we've heard a ton about vitamin C in the news recently just because it does help to boost the immune system, but it's really, really helpful for a lot of other different things. And a lot of the vitamin C can get deficient. We can get deficient in that if we are under stress because our body runs through vitamin C quicker if we're under stress, which is also why our immune system is weakened when we're under stress. And so vitamin C is one that I use a couple of different ones, one every day, and then one kind of is a larger dose kind of as needed a couple of times a week. So I'm going to include both of those in this blog post. Third one that could be seen as additional, could be seen as depending on where you are in your journey, could be seen as foundational, is a daily fruit and vegetable powder, because again, we're not getting all that we need there. And some multivitamins do have that in there, but if it doesn't, then you might want to consider adding it in. So that's one. And then stress, some kind of stress and adrenal support, because again, we're also stressed, right? And this might be more of a short-term supplement that you want to think about using. But if you're constantly stressed and you're not doing anything to decrease the stress, or maybe you just can't right now, it's just out of your control and there's just like really nothing else you can do to decrease the stress, like you're going to want to add something else on. Like, yes, we need to think about the foundational things and do those, but we need extra support. And so stress and adrenal support, there's lots of different options there, but that would be something I would highly consider. And then B vitamins is the last one, because when you're under stress, B vitamins are completely just wiped out. And so most of us need extra B vitamins. The most common one that we hear of is vitamin B12. And a lot of times we take that in a synthetic form, and it's really not doing a lot, especially what we want it to do. And so taking B vitamins in a very absorbable, functional type of form would be really great support all the time, but definitely if you are under extra stress. Okay, so that was my top 5 and 5 additional ones. I just couldn't help myself. But really quickly before I hop off, or if I take any questions, let me make sure that, okay, I don't have any questions here. I can't see on Facebook, I'm sorry, but I will go back and answer the questions if you have any on there. Kids, I got a question like, what supplements should kids be on and how do I know, and all of that. You know, I don't want this to be confusing. So that the best way that I can tell you as far as kids supplements, like the ones that I mentioned that are foundational, your kids, they would also be foundational to your children, and they could just take half. That's just kind of an easy general rule of thumb. Obviously for like super small kids, that's not going to work, but without doing a whole nother class on kid supplements, that is the easiest answer that I can give you. And as they get older, I would say like 7 or 8, that's a really good age. Like they can probably start swallowing capsules, definitely smaller ones. And so you can start, looking at what you take and just looking at giving them half or a fourth of that. But there's so many. Don't let it overwhelm you. There are so many supplements. Some are just money gimmicks. I would say a lot are money gimmicks, but I want you to, there's some great supplements that I would call add-ons that are just, like I said, like just kind of here or there. They're powders that you've heard of. They're different supplements that are good for this or that. But you really need to think about foundational supplements, especially if you're on a budget, and especially if you don't want to take like 9 million capsules a day. Supplements can get like, whoa, I'm on a good many supplements, but I'm just always trying to make sure that they are the most beneficial and the most impactful. And the top 5 that I mentioned are foundational. And there's something that I'm going to continue to take day in and day out. And so I hope this class has been helpful. I completed my mission, keeping it under 30 minutes, because I really want to make sure that it is worth your time. It's impactful information. It's no fluff. So hopefully you got something out of this class. And I just hope that you don't get overwhelmed by this, like I said, but that you really look and see where you're at budget-wise as well. And just pick, if you can only pick one supplement to get, make it a quality multivitamin. Hands down, like we've got to have that. And then second with that is the omega. That would definitely be my second recommendation. And so you can find a quality one for $60 or $70 a month. And I feel like that is a very wise investment in your health. And I encourage you to go look and see what's going on now and try to formulate a better, more foundational plan for you and your family. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, all this information is going to be on a blog post, carriecutie.com. You can go there and look at my blogs, and it should be up within a day or 2, but I'll definitely let you know if you follow me on social media. I'll post about it on there to make sure that you know that it's live. All right, guys, thanks so much. Thank you for joining live, for joining the replay, and I will see you guys later. Bye, everyone.